Welcome to episode number 11 of Policy in Wonderland. I'm your host, Evyatar Amira. You can call me Evie. In Policy in Wonderland, just like Alice, we are going to explore the wonderful world of insurance, InsurTech, and everything that's connected to this amazing ecosystem. In Policy in Wonderland, you will meet agents, startups from all over the world, key figures, and more. So without further ado, I want to travel today to the States and to invite my guest to join me as we go down the rabbit hole. And please welcome Tim Gasper. Hello, my friend. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh man, thank you for the invite. Very super excited to be here, excited to talk to you, and yeah, looking forward to
Likewise.
a great conversation.
So let's start from the beginning. Can you start by giving us a brief introduction?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm currently the CEO of Gaspar Insurance Services. We're an insurance agency uh, primarily based in Southern California, but we also have offices in Southern New Jersey and
Hmm,
Kingman, Arizona, some folks different parts of Missouri. So
nice.
a few different places. We do business through basically all 50 states.
Nice. And what we are going to do today is to talk about your book. You recently
Awesome.
published your book, The Biggest Leap. As you can
Awesome.
see here, I read
Awesome.
it and I have all the marks. I will talk about a couple of the marks if you can see the marks. So, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
What inspired you to write the book? You are an insurance agent, not a writer.
You know, it's well, it's there were a few different things that sort of were they were the impetus or the spark for me to actually write the book. It was definitely one of those things that I had as a goal, floating around my mind over the years. But I think there were really, two things that brought me to a point where I thought, you know what, it's time to actually start, putting the words on paper and
Mhm.
actually turning this into something. And one of them was, and I talk about it in the book, the passing of my father in 2022 was something that,
Yeah.
when your parents pass, it's one of those things that just gives you a different perspective on life. And I just wanted to make sure that I leave something as a legacy that's helpful to other people. Because having all the ideas and thoughts that I've learned in my own brain doesn't do a whole lot of good when I'm gone. So that was one piece. And then the second thing was, and I know, you see a lot of this too, but on the internet nowadays, whether it be YouTube or social media, whatever it is, there's a lot of charlatans that are out there that are
Yeah.
looking to take advantage of insurance agents. Oh, I'll show you how to get leads. I'll show you how to create a system of getting, referrals that you don't have to lift a finger and you can work 10 minutes a month and make lots of money. And I thought that stuff's all just bogus. And there's, I just wanted to say like, hey, there's another way to be successful. It's not the only way, but it's, the way that I did things essentially.
And one of the sentences that I loved, and I want you to explain it. Um, Getting into the insurance business ultimately gave me an opportunity that no other business could offer because it really is the greatest business in the world.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Why?
Well, I believe that to be true, you know, by 1000%. I believe more in that sentence now, even more so than when I wrote it, because the insurance business, even today in a hard market, it can be a bit more difficult in some regards. It's just an amazing business because, and there's 100 reasons I could highlight, but the two I would mention is one, it's insulated to a certain degree beyond like the general economy. So when things are going great or terrible or whatever it is, the insurance business is really, relatively steady. And then the recurring revenue piece. I mean, very not many businesses offer the opportunity to build recurring revenue, especially without capital outlay, because you could buy real estate and have it give you recurring revenue, but
Exactly.
then you've got the capital investment of buying the real estate. Where insurance, you don't. It's just makes it an amazing business opportunity for anybody.
For anybody, like also for the younger audience that
Yeah.
can hear us, and to think about, okay, insurance could be my next position, my next job.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the younger folks, insurance is one of those businesses that anybody that I've ever met that's gotten into insurance and started building a book, no matter how old they are, 6 months into the business, they always have the same comment. I wish I started doing this earlier. So
Really.
they say that whether they're 20 and they say that whether they're 40, right? More for the 40-year-old. Because the sooner you start building your book, you start building the book of business, which has the recurring revenue, but you also start building your knowledge, you start building your reputation. And for young people, the only reason young people don't get into the business is because I think they don't really understand it. And they'll say things like, well, insurance is not really my passion. Insurance is not really that exciting. And I think they're worried about like what other people think, which I get that that's a real thing, especially in the social media world. So I would just say, look, if you feel that way, give it a chance, give it your
Yeah.
all for a year or two. And then if after that you feel like it's not your thing, that's different. But give it a chance. You'll find it's very interesting. There's a lot of exciting things you can do with it and a lot of challenges in a good way to learn from.
For me, also as a young insurance agent, that I read your book is not just okay. Let me understand who is Tim, but you divided the book to two chapters, the two main chapters. One is like building your book of business, and then building your agency.
Right.
And I like the separation because, as you mentioned, everyone that wants to, you see it on social that combine it all together, and there is a mix, and you don't understand really, okay, what I need to do the next morning. And you also have here like a special URL that each and every reader can enter and get materials that help him, like Excels and so on. Um, the two chapters that you divided, like you think about it in the way that I think right now, or this is came from another point of view?
Yeah, well, it's really meant to explain things, I think, the way that you're looking at it, where yeah, first you need to know like what to do every day. Like you said, when you wake up with this business, like how do you go out and actually start building a book and how do you find clients and how do you network and all those things. And that's really what the first half of the book is dedicated to. And then you'll get to a point where inevitably you'll have a book of business, and maybe it's not true for everybody, but for a lot of folks that get in the business in the first place, they're entrepreneurs. And so whether they pursue it or not, there is going to be the day they wake up with that spark of an idea that's, hey, maybe I'd like to create my own agency for myself. And for the folks that do want to pursue that, that's who the second half of the book is for.
Mhm.
How to create an agency and avoid some of the pitfalls that folks sometimes will fall into when they first start an agency.
How was your first impression when you opened your own agency?
Well, it was tough. I don't know if it definitely like starting any business. It was absolutely tough, and it was absolutely a lot happening at once. With opening an insurance agency, there's a lot of things that have to be in place day one when you start operating, when it comes to like the carrier appointments, your trust account, your software system, your CRM. There's certain things that they just have to be done and moving when you first open your doors. And so there's a lot of moving pieces when you get started. And a lot of times it'll either be just you or maybe you and like one other person that you hire. So it's not like there's a lot of opportunity to delegate. So it was just like a whirlwind. There are a lot of things, a lot of plates spinning at once. But it all came together. And the fact that I had a book of business that I had already built, the
Mhm.
big advantage I had over somebody who maybe starts today without a book is I already had some revenue coming in the door day one, which is important for any business, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
uh,
kind
the,
of hard.
the,
It's a problem without that.
the reason I asked you is because I I want to talk about startups, about insurtechs, about all the
Yeah,
techs that involved in the ecosystem right now, and especially the 2 years, 2 years, like as we love to mention, insurtech 1.0. All the startups, all the insurtech that say, okay, we will jump over the insurance agent. We don't need the
yep,
insurance agent. It doesn't know anything. We will know it much better because we have technology and we spread from all over the world and erase all the agents. And And it was very important that you said from day one, you need the CRM, you need to your appointments, all the shebang, and sometimes insurtechs or startups that want to be involved in the insurance market are not really see that.
Mm-hmm.
And how you see, what is your takeaways about startups right now?
But as far as in the insure tech space,
Yeah.
I think they're realizing they need to work with the agent. So, like you said, startups 1.0, a lot of the startups that came out is on paper or theoretically they said, hey, we don't need to pay agents a commission. We're just going to do what travel websites did and bypass like the travel agent. We're just going to sell insurance directly to consumers. What do we need to pay an agent for? And I think the reason they thought that, honestly, I think part of it is the word commission. So agents and agencies earn a commission, and it's always been referred to as a commission, but I think that's a really misleading term that gets used with our business. And the reason I say that is, um, agency commissions, that's the money that's paid to us by the carrier, not just for selling the policies, but that's the money that's paid to us on an annual basis for servicing the policies. So I think it would be a lot more accurate to call that a servicing fee instead of a commission. I think InsurTech said commission. What do we need
Wow.
to pay a commission for? Right? They didn't realize how necessary agents are in the process, and you can't just have a website with a chatbot and call it a day.
It's so true that because even the end user say, okay, the insurance agent get a commission. The
Right.
commission is not the
Yep.
service fee. Right. Yeah, it's excellent point of view. And right now they realize the commission is actually the service fee.
That's right. Exactly right. Um, so now I think the InsurTech companies have gotten smarter and they're starting to come out with different tools that are there to support insurance agents and support insurance agencies in their mission, whether it be to help in regards to the sales process or help with the servicing process or the
Mhm.
accounting piece, all these things that fit within the agency infrastructure that things are attractive to the agent to utilize. I don't see too much coming out to sidestep the agent because the other thing is when it comes to consumers, this is not a much of a news flash to anyone. Consumers don't like insurance in general. I mean, that is it is what it is. They don't like the insurance buying process. And in consumers, the last thing they want to do is go through the process of selecting, quoting, and buying insurance themselves.
Right.
That's most consumers would rather go to the dentist, right? It's just the reality of it. They need an insurance person to walk them through the process and make the selections for them and make sure that they are well taken care of at the end of the day.
Let's zoom out to California and
Mm-hmm.
talk like, a brief overview about the current situation in the insurance market in California.
Sure.
First of all, can you elaborate and say, because right now what we from my knowledge is that there is very high premium, high risk, wildfires, etc. And what happened right now in the insurance market in California?
Well, it's a very difficult marketplace, the most difficult marketplace California's ever had, and it's
Wow.
difficult primarily on the property end, and that relates to commercial property, homeowners insurance, but
Mhm.
also in regards to the auto insurance marketplace, both for commercial and for personal. So things are so difficult that there's been a decent amount of news in regards to like State Farm leaving the marketplace. They're still doing a little bit of business, but not much. And AIG left the marketplace over a year ago. But what's not being talked about is even the carriers that are still here, like your Safeco's and Travelers and CSC and all these big names, they're in the
Mhm.
marketplace. They're just not offering new policies. And so a lot of these big companies that we represent, they've either said to us, hey, we're on pause. So although they haven't announced anything to the media, they're not actually selling new policies, or they'll tell us you're allowed to issue one policy a month when we used to do 50, right?
Wow.
So that's the same as being shut down. It's just not in the news.
Wow. And the reason is because of the catastrophic damages you said about even the commercial auto or auto in
Yeah,
general.
auto in general. Yeah, the auto insurance marketplace in general.
And in a couple of minutes, I know that is almost impossible, but to explain the market, the regulation market
Yep,
in California, because I know that the insurance company cannot increase their premium because they need approval from the commissioner, right?
that's right. Yep,
And especially if it's about cat and so on. And
yep.
yeah, this is the situation. This is the reason why right now California is such a mess.
That's right. So it all goes. So California has a lot of issues that are driving the cost of claims. So it's more expensive to build here. You have the fires from a few years ago that were very destructive. So those and you have a lot of more litigation here than most states,
Mhm.
right? So when it comes to auto insurance accidents and things,
Okay.
more than enough attorneys to go around to take these cases. But that's true. That's one half of it, and I don't even know if that's half of it. The bigger issue is really tied to regulation because, like you said, so the Department of Insurance has to approve any increase in rates that a carrier wants to have. And during COVID, and then for 2 years after COVID, the Department of Insurance refused to review any rate file increases. They just refused to. They just wouldn't get back to carriers or they would draw the process out for 2 years or so. Um, and so these insurance companies were dealing with the inflation that was happening within the country. So the cost of building going higher, the cost of car repairs and used cars going through the roof, and not being able to charge more money. And insurance companies, every single company that was writing auto and home insurance in California was losing. They had combined ratios that could be as high as like 130%, like just losing insane amounts of money and saying to the Department of Insurance, hey, this isn't sustainable. We're not going to be able to continue doing business here. The Department of Insurance, the commissioner is an elected position. And so the commissioner doesn't want to allow rate increases because then voters will be upset. Potentially he could lose his job. So instead of
Wow.
the Department of Insurance allowing for an efficient functioning marketplace, they put these artificial caps in place where the insurance carriers eventually just said, hey, we're out of here. Like we can't lose any more money. We're going to leave. And so now the rate increases are being approved and things are starting to happen. But there was so much damage done within that 2.5 years. It's going to take at least another year or two before markets come back to the table and we have a functioning marketplace again.
Do you think that technology like InsurTech can be kind of helping to the situation? For example, if the agencies, brokers, insurance company will use more tech to decrease or to understand the risk they are going to insure, there's something that you.
Theoretically, theoretically, there's a huge opportunity for that. The problem is currently the regulation framework won't allow it.
Mhm.
So, an example would be, Elon Musk has his own insurance operation, which makes a lot of sense because Tesla, they've got all the data they could ever
Yeah,
need,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if anybody can set rates accurately, it's Tesla. The problem is that Tesla goes to the Department of Insurance and says, "Hey, we want to have the following rate filings, and we want to be able to give certain folks discounts, and this is how we want the rates to look." And the Department of Insurance says, "No, no, it's can't give you can't give discounts to this block of people because it's discriminatory, whether it's rated by zip code or occupation or whatever it is." So a lot of the data that is justifiable from an actuarial standpoint in the state of California, and they're not the only state, uh, is not, they won't allow that to be used in the setting of rates, which is crazy because the actuarial
Crazy.
data is the only data you should use to set rates. But the Department of Insurance within California, to a pretty significant extent, just doesn't allow it, which hurts consumers at the end of the day. That's the problem is the consumers
Yeah,
that are safe are responsible are paying more because we're subsidizing the people that are irresponsible, that have accidents. Um, inflate their claims, all these other things. The good drivers subsidize the bad drivers.
The customer realize is from the states, like the from the commissioner, is not because earlier you mentioned about the commission. Insurtech came and said the agent take commission. It's not commission, it's service fee.
Right. Yeah.
There is also here the inflation of the premium is caused by 1, 2, 3, such as
Yeah.
commission. That it's not how they realize
Yeah.
that.
No, generally no. So unfortunately, people are busy, and
In their
all
life,
those
yeah.
consumers know is they got a bill in the mail, and it's a bigger bill than it was 6 months or a year ago. And unfortunately, it's the insurance carriers that end up getting the blame,
Mm.
because I think the public looks at insurance carriers as being like a bank, like a big company with lots of money, lots of top line revenue, not really thinking about what comes out the other end. And that's where the blame goes, which is unfortunate, because I think what happens
Yeah.
with that is when there's another election for another insurance commissioner, there's a pretty good chance voters will make the same decision they made last time in regards to, they don't want anybody from the insurance business, even though, like, you should probably have somebody that knows what they're doing, and somebody who has a lot of promises about keeping rates low is the person that gets elected. And so I'm not super optimistic about things improving. I think the marketplace will improve, but big picture, it'll probably be more of the same moving forward. I hate to say it.
So as we near to the end, are there any final thoughts you would like to share with us?
Yeah, well, just was obviously talking about how difficult the marketplace is, but the difficult marketplace is actually a good thing for agents. And I say that because if the marketplace was easy, and if you could buy insurance on any website, like for auto insurance, let's say, then it diminishes the value of agents. So things are really difficult right now, and not just in California. So there's definitely more of a need than ever for agents to be involved with their customers to help them navigate the insurance marketplace. And I feel, like I said earlier, I do think that this is really the one of the very best industries in the world for somebody to build their career. So if I was 18 or 20 or whatever age, and I had the opportunity to get in this business again and do what I did when I was 20, I would
Nice.
absolutely do it again. I wouldn't pick a different business. This is the as good as it gets in regards to all the things
Nice.
that we just talked about.
Love that. So Tim, thank you very much for
Thank you.
today.
Thank you for having
And
me.
I will see you again. Thank
All
you.
right, that sounds great. Thank you, Avatar.
Thanks.